Hello, beautiful people. I'd love to do a little chat about politics and spirituality. I had the great fortune of sharing some music at Unity Church in Boulder today, and they did a panel discussion. They had three ministers, and three of them talked about politics and spirituality and how do we live our spiritual heart while we are in this political campaigning and the polarity in that field. So stay tuned. Hey guys, this is Rebecca. Thanks for tuning in. We're gonna dive deep to Rise High. The topic today is politics and spirituality. Oh, looks like Max wants to come too. Hi, Maxie. Oh my goodness, doesn't he look handsome in his little mask? Hi, buddy. How are you? Yes, hello. I think he wants to go for a walk. I think that's what he wants to do. Ah, hi, cutie boy. All right. So one of the gems from today's talk was I just loved this, was that let's not make a choice or an action unless we are feeling at peace in our hearts. One of the ministers talked about living his life, and when the peace in his heart started to get wobbly, he stopped. And that's when he knew he had to pull back, take a pause, take some space from whatever he was doing in his life. And so I think that's a really great tool to go by, is just like, where is the peace in my heart right now? And as I go forth in, thinking about politics and what party and like what's happening in the campaigning and what's happening on social media, the minute the peace in our heart diminishes, that's when we have to disengage and go back to our meditation pillow, basically. Because anything we do that's not from the peace in our heart will have a skewed result. We'll just be feeding the heaviness on the planet and increase the polarity and not feed the unity and the oneness and looking at everyone's needs and being allowance of what's happening on the planet. So another gem from the talk was talking about, like, whenever you're in action against something, you're actually perpetuating it. And I thought that was very interesting. And then someone brought up a good point about marching for a cause. And so a few months ago, I did a video about conscious activism. And that's where we can go back into our heart, be in that peaceful heart, and then from there, take action. However, the moment the peace leaves your heart when you're on that march, it's a good sign it's your time to leave the march. Staying in that peaceful heart while you're taking action is key. And, we can only go so far until we're willing to really look at, the peace is diminished, get back to the meditation mat. And it's like, if we use meditation or stillness or just a contemplative practice where we really get to know our heart space, our lightness, our infinite beingness, then whenever we go into the world and are faced with, we can bring that to it as well. And then whatever comes at us and we feel triggered or we feel resistance again, that's the moment to go do some inner work, do that microcosm work. So I talk a lot about the microcosm and the macrocosm, and this is how I see spiritual work, is that, it's whatever's happening here reflects out here. So, whenever you are out in the world and your peace leaves, that's a good indicator to go back into the microcosm to see what's happening in here. Because really, in Course in Miracles, they talk about, the illusion out here really has everything to do with what's happening here and here. So go back into the drawing board, the creation center, find your peace again, and then watch the peace reflect out here. And I feel like that's a really good space to start with politics. Politics can be very triggering. They can be very, this side against this side. It's like a perfect plot for any type of movie, right? There's the back and forth, and this party's the good guy, and these are the bad guys in one scenario, and these guys are the good guys, and these guys are the bad guys in the other scenario. You can really see both sides. One of the ministers said today about having an open mind, and that he could really see the argument for both parties. He could really see both sides, and that really people want what's best for our planet and best for themselves, and what's best for themselves, they want best for the planet. So when we're looking at politics, it's good to keep an open mind and seeing really where all the people are coming from. Another one of the ministers talked about really being able to listen and talk less, and really hear someone's side or point of view that's way different than yours. Because as you listen, you may notice that they're more alike to you than you think. So it's like you have more alike than differences. As you start to listen more, you start to realize a lot of times our motivations are really underlying everything. They're pretty much the same. So, I really got a lot out of listening to this panel of of ministers today. And it was so cool because I have 2 new songs, and one is called Shimmy and Shine, and one is called I See You. And the songs actually went really well with the topic of the talk today. So it was really fun, and I'm super excited because I'm going to be doing this again in October, and hopefully I have a few new songs to share with them. How are you doing with working through this political campaign season with your spirituality? Let me hear it in the comments. Are you able to hold your peace while you're listening to each debate? Are you able to hold your peace as you think about the political issues on hand, and who's for what? And are you able to really hold in your heart and choose for the candidate that best suits your consciousness? Or do you feel kind of bullied by having to pick one of the main, Republican or Democrat? So yeah, let's start a discussion here. I'm personally not a very political person. I'm a little ignorant when it comes to all that. That's one of the things that I don't put much time into, because it really does take my peace away. But I do actually see some of the sides on both parties, so I get confused sometimes. Although I am not a registered for either party, so I do like to have that choice. But I think as a spiritual being and in our awakening process, it's important to walk our talk in every area of our lives, and politics is one of those. I do always vote, and I really feel into what's lightest for me and what's for that and for our collective. So and that was another thing one of the ministers talked about was when you're voting, think about the collective and think about the future of this planet, not just what would be just good for you in the immediate future, but what would be the best for longevity. And I thought that was really great too. And now I'm thinking about it, it was a really great talk. If you want to see it, the video of the whole event, it's an hour talk, and I sing 2 songs. You can see it on my Facebook page, just my Rebecca Abraxas Facebook page, or go to Boulder Unity, and you can see this talk as well as my 2 songs. So I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how you are walking your spiritual journey in this political arena. And give us some insights that work for you. All right, beautiful people. Be sure to subscribe, like, and click the bell. I'd love to have you in this high vibe tribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with some light language. So be sure to check that out. Namaste.